All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Megan Balding and I'm with the USC Viterbi School of Engineering, Office of Admission and Student Engagement. And it's my pleasure to join you all today for our Spotlight Series presentation on computer science, which will be a Q&A with Professor Cyrus Shahabi. Without further ado, I'd like to just introduce our panel for today. As I mentioned, my name is Megan Balding. We do have Professor Cyrus Shahabi on the line. He is the chair for the Department of Computer Science. We are also joined today by Liesl de Leon, who's the Director for Student Affairs for the Department of Computer Science, and Aaron Tanaka, who will also be on hand to answer general questions on applications and other things of that sort. So to get started with this presentation, some quick housekeeping items. We will be sending out a copy of the slides from today's presentation within about 1 to 2 business days, so you can refer to those at a later point in time. Additionally, we encourage you to ask questions during the information session. There will be time at the end of the session for an open Q&A, but you can go ahead and send those questions at any point in time utilizing the Q&A panel that is either located on the right of your screen or in the upper drop-down box. Now, in terms of today's presentation, we will be giving a quick overview of the University of Southern California and the Viterbi School of Engineering, but really we'll be focusing on our master's programs in computer science. And as I mentioned, we'll have some time at the end of the day, or end of the presentation, I'm sorry, for all of you joining us today to ask any questions that you may have. Now, if you're not familiar with the University of Southern California, we are the oldest private university in the Western United States, founded in 1880. We currently have about 46,000 students and about 4,700 full-time faculty members. We have a diverse student population with students coming from all 50 states and over 100 countries. And the campus itself is located in Los Angeles, just a few minutes south of downtown LA. In terms of the Viterbi School of Engineering, we consist of 8 academic departments. We have 189 tenure-track faculty. 17 of our full-time tenure-track faculty are members of the National Academy of Engineering, and we have over 90 National Science Foundation Career, National, and Presidential Young Investigator awardees amongst our faculty members. In terms of our student population, we have just under 2,900 undergraduate students and around 5,500 graduate students for this fall 2020 semester. The Viterbi School is considered a leader in funded research with over 35 research centers and over $200 million in research expenditures annually. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Professor Cyrus Shahabi. Professor Shahabi is the Helen N. and Emmett H. Jones Professor of Engineering. He is a professor of computer science, electrical engineering, and spatial sciences. As I mentioned earlier, he is the chair for the Department of Computer Science. He is also the director for the Integrated Media Systems Center, IMSC. In terms of his research, he could obviously tell you a lot more about the work that he does, but we've listed some highlights here, including databases, spatial databases, multimedia databases, geospatial information systems, and data mining. So the way that we structured today's presentation will be in the form of our frequently asked questions. So we do have a number of questions that we often receive from prospective students about our master's programs in computer science. So I'll go ahead and direct those questions to Professor Shahabi and Liesl. Please feel free to jump in as needed and to share information before we open it up to all of you attending today's session. So Professor Shahabi, can you provide more information about the Department of Computer Science at USC Viterbi?
Yes, thank you very much for having me, and good morning, everyone. I mean, morning in Los Angeles, wherever you guys are. I guess I'm preaching the choir here because clearly you guys are already interested in computer science, but just to do my pitch, basically, I think this is really an exciting time to be interested in the field of computer science. And one reason is that 10, 15 years ago, not that many people were aware of the field. But nowadays, you hear about the sub areas within our field like AI, machine learning, robotics, privacy, cybersecurity in mainstream media. So basically, it's a time that is a great awareness of our field and various sub areas in the field. And if you look at the major companies that making societal impacts, some positive, some negative, they are really computer science companies. So You may think of, for example, Uber and Lyft as transportation company, but they're really not. They're really just a computer science company. You might think of Amazon, for example, as a logistics company, but it's not. It's really a computer science company. So I also included here a report by National Academy that makes the same argument. If you can advance the slide, please. It basically did a study where they look at the surge, in this case, not in master program, but we see the same thing for master program, but in undergrad program of computer science. And they were doing the study to see whether this is a temporary thing, similar to early, for example, or late 1990s, that there was a very much a surge in enrollment, but it kind of slowed down. And as a result of the study, as you see in the second box, it says that no, this is not temporary, and it's going to continue for a while. And this is consistent with what we've been seeing. And it's not just no, go ahead, that's okay. And it's not just the field of computer science to teach computer science to computer scientists, but also what sometimes referred to as data science. Sometimes people call it X plus CS, which is basically every other field like chemistry, law, economics. They also interested to become educated in computation and data. So this is really going beyond just teaching computer science to computer science folks, but also teaching it to anybody who's not computer science. And we do this actually better in our master program, because that's the part that makes sense to teach computer science to folks who had undergrads in other degrees, for example. And I think we're going to get that with one of our master programs. Next slide. So just to emphasize the point, I decided, I mean, the reason that we are doing this virtually, I mean, usually we have in-person meetings, is because of the pandemic. So I just want to mention a couple of things that's happening at USC now that the computer science is helping with pandemics. But if you think in general, if this was like 100 years ago and the pandemic, where you didn't have, for example, access to video conferencing and internet to communicate, or access to Netflix and Amazon Prime and so on to get entertained, or access, for example, to ride sharing or Amazon for ordering stuff remotely, it would have been a much more difficult time to tolerate the pandemic. So it's very clear that the field is already making a big impact, even as things change in this particular case, in the case of pandemic. Next slide. So I want to give you just some statistics so that you know how big the department is. The department has about 85 faculty members. There are 3 categories of faculty that we have. We have about 17 teaching faculty. These are basically the faculty members that their main load profile is to teach. Then we have research faculty, which is kind of the opposite. Their main load profile is to do research. However, many of them actually do teach at least like 1 course a year for us as well. And then finally, we have tenure track faculty that kind of a mix. So they have both teaching and research in their load profile. And they also teach a lot of our classes. So actually, a lot of our master program classes are being taught by a combination of the 3. So we do have some teaching faculty teaching some of our master program courses, and then some of the higher level, more advanced courses. We have our research faculty, and then we do have some of our tenure track faculty teaching both actually the advanced and some of the general courses in our master program. We have a very large master population of the student population, as you can see. So the majority of our students actually are master students. We have a small, relatively small PhD program, but that's still not small with 300 PhD students. And undergrad actually is growing. So several years ago, I say we were in the range of 400 to 600, and now because of all the transfers we're seeing from other programs, it's in the range of 1,300. Next slide. So this is, I think, some stats for this year actually, the 2020, I guess um, there's something wrong with the, is this year, Lisa, or last year? I think it's last year. So last year, yeah, last year. So last year we had actually relatively smaller incoming students. So we got 500 incoming, and this is expected because of the pandemic. Some folks deferred and decided not to actually start in fall 2020. Typically we get higher. I think we get about 700-800 incoming students. And then we have kind of another program under our computer science department. It used to be called informatics program. Now it's called data science program. And it's kind of a new program. And as I already mentioned, this is a program actually focusing on teaching computer science to non-computer scientists. So this is really focusing on folks who have their undergrad degrees from other fields. And last year we had about 140 incoming students. And as you see, this is a relatively smaller program as compared to our regular master program because it's starting and it's about 400 students. Next. Now the computer science program, I think we're gonna go through these specialties later, but it's kind of broken into a number of specialties. The largest one obviously is the main program, the computer science program, CSCI program. There we have about 1,300 students. And then these are various specialties. And as you see, the next big, larger one is the computer science, engineering, and scientists. And we're going to get to that as well. That's the last one, that last bullet. And there is about 500 students. And then the third one is the data science program. We do have, I don't see this here, but maybe we haven't started yet. We're starting this year, the CSAI program. So that's a new program that, are we getting applicants this year for CSAI?
Yeah, they started.
Okay, so CSAI is a new specialty that I think probably gonna grow and surpass the data science program, if not the CSES program. And then on the on the right, you see the various master degrees within the data science program. So we have the first one, the applied data science. The second one, I think it's the old program that we're retiring, the data informatics, which is going to be kind of merged into the applied data science, the first one. The spatial science program is the third one, and the cyber security engineering, and the last two, even I don't remember the acronyms anymore, but one is health and one is policy, basically. And these are again starting, so that's why the numbers are smaller. Next slide. So this is just, I guess, the three categories that I mentioned with some pictures. So the first one, the tenure track, then the teaching and the research. The 100 number is kind of a rough estimation because we're hiring. So actually last year we hired 4 new tenure track faculty and 3 new research faculty. And 1 teaching faculty. So the number is actually growing. So 100 seems to be right by the time that you arrive to campus. Next. So the department, as you see, because it's a big department, both from the faculty size and student size, I can't manage the department by myself. So I have a lot of help. Of course, the real help come from Liesl. But other than that, we have a faculty leadership. So there are 3 associate chairs. Professor Laurent Iti, he's the helping with the PhD program and the research faculty. Professor G.J. Hoffman helps with the undergrad program and teaching faculty, and then Professor Horowitz helping with the master programs. At the same time, we also kind of area-wise partition the department to 4 areas: the AI area, systems, theory, and then vision, robotics, and graphics. And these are the area leaders in case you're interested about certain area within the department. Next. Here I just selected some recent. I mean, at the time that I was creating these slides, that was recent. It's already old a little bit, but these are the our computer science in the news, just to basically show that the work that our students are doing, both at undergrad or grad level, always make it to the mainstream media. So here are examples from Washington Post, Newsweek, CNN, BBC, and Fortune, kind of highlighting some of the work done by our faculty and students. Next slide. We also have, of course, news that doesn't make it to the mainstream media, but still we think of it as important work being done at USC. So if you go to our website, actually under news, you can see many of these news articles. And I think that's sometimes I recommend the students to go and look at the news link on our website, because that very nicely kind of summarize what's happening research-wise in our department. And it's easier to read and understand than some of the research papers and so on. So as a kind of intro, I think that's a good way of figuring out what's happening in the department research-wise. Next slide. Should I keep going, or do you want to?
Yeah. So I think right now we'll just go into each of the master's degree program options that we do offer within the department.
Yes.
Computer
Okay.
science. And just as a quick note, I wanted to mention that today's presentation is focusing on our master's programs in computer science. We do have a separate presentation that was done in the fall focusing on our the data science, applied data science, and some of those specializations, as well as cybersecurity engineering. So if any of you are interested in those programs, you can go ahead and email us and we can send you a link to that presentation as well. All
right. So these are basically the, I already mentioned these, I guess, in the when we were showing the statistics and the number of students in each one of these. But now you see actually CSAI, now it's there because it's a new program, as I mentioned. I think the ones with the little computer icon, they are available online on DEN, or on Distance Education Network. These days, everything is available online for the past year, but we're hoping that we go back to in-person, hopefully by fall. Again, as I mentioned, the last one, scientists and engineers, and data science are the more popular ones after our main computer science master program. Okay, so this is, I kind of alluded to this, but maybe let's see what the slides say, and then I can talk more on it. Okay, the slide gets to the details, but before I start with this, I just give you the main difference, basically. As I mentioned, a lot of non-computer scientists are now interested in computer science. So the purpose of the Master of Science Scientists and Engineers is basically cater to them so that they can switch from an undergrad degree that they have in other fields of engineering and maybe other fields of science, like physics, chemistry, so that they can switch and get a master degree in CS. So the specific difference is here. Basically, our general master computer science has about 28 units. That's the main difference, the number of units. One of them is only required, which is the analysis of algorithm. This is an important course. Most companies want to see our students have this course, so we made it required. And then the other 24 units is basically pretty much electives. You can select from many, many courses that our department offers. Next, if you go the scientists and engineers, I guess this I already mentioned, the reason for this, but the difference is the number of units. So as you see, instead of 28 units, the number of units increased to 37. And the main reason for that is to add this kind of prerequisite courses. So the first one is really a programming course, because even though you might have a little bit of a programming background as a non-computer scientist, but the type of understanding we need you to have from programming is more in depth, and that's what's covered in 455. And then a couple of foundational requirements, which basically is operating system and basically telling you how computers work, both from a software perspective of it, which is operating system, and the hardware perspective of it, which is basically the EE450 or 457. And then, of course, again, 570, as I mentioned, is a required course. And then the same, you have these electives. So that's really the difference, is those prerequisite courses that we want to add before you start taking our regular courses.
Great. And so the next couple of slides, thank you so much, Professor Shabby. The next couple of slides will go into how the online delivery works for our master's degree programs. So I will go ahead and just kind of address those quickly. And I wanted to mention that I know we haven't gone into each of these individual specializations in great detail, but if you do have specific questions, please go ahead and send those over to the Q&A, and we can address those during our open Q&A in just a few minutes. So go ahead and start sending any of those questions that you may have over, and we'll make sure to get to them during the question and answer portion. But as we've noted, there are two ways that you can pursue your master's degree here at the Viterbi School. Not all programs are available online via Dennett Viterbi, for last year as an exception, but in normal times, you do have the ability to pursue your program on campus. Now, most of the time, our on-campus students are full-time students completing about 2 classes per semester. And if you're taking classes during the summer, you can complete the degree in around 1.5 years, otherwise about 2 years to complete your master's degree program. Now, we do have an online delivery option through Dennett Viterbi, which allows working professionals or individuals that are unable to come to campus to pursue a number of the degree programs in computer science. As I mentioned, often students pursuing their degree online are working full-time, so they're taking around 1 class a semester, which means it's taking a little bit longer to complete the degree, and on average, they're taking around 2.5 to 3 years. Now, in terms of how Dennett Viterbi works, I'll be getting into this very briefly, but if you have any questions, go ahead and send those over the Q&A and we can address those. But essentially, as a Dennett Viterbi student, you are participating in and pursuing the exact same degree program as your on-campus counterparts. You view the same lectures as your on-campus students with fresh content every semester. You have the opportunity to either log in live to the class while it's happening, in normal times on USC's campus, or you can view the archive version. So a few minutes after the lecture is completed for the day, you can view the archived recording in the evenings or on the weekends. But you're following the same academic calendar, the same syllabus, so you do have to submit your homework according to those deadlines electronically. And again, during normal times, exams are done at proctored testing centers near your home or office. This is just a quick overview of some of the similarities and differences between our on-campus and online students. I won't go over each of these in detail, but the one thing I do want to specifically point out is the program admission requirements. Again, these are going to be the same regardless of whether you're pursuing the program on USC's campus or online via Dennett Viterbi. You'll go through the same application, and then ultimately you're being admitted to the same degree program regardless of whether you intend to pursue the program on USC's campus or online. And then ultimately, upon completion, you're receiving the same diploma. It does not indicate that the degree was completed online. There are a couple items I wanted to just quickly point out that are specific to our Dennett Viterbi students. There is an option to pursue limited status enrollment. Limited status enrollment essentially allows strong candidates to begin pursuing their degree program prior to receiving formal admission to a degree. So this is a great way to get started on the degree and your coursework if you meet the qualifications, which are an undergraduate degree in engineering, math, or hard science from a regionally accredited institution with a cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. Now, again, this is for limited status. Ultimately, you do still need to apply for formal admission to receive admission and ultimately a degree within your selected degree program. But it is a good way to get started. And in fact, you can get started as early as this summer if you're interested in limited status enrollment. The other thing I wanted to just quickly mention is our employer reimbursement deferment option. So if you are working for an employer who's paying for a portion of your tuition or all of your tuition, you can defer the upfront payment of that tuition until after the semester is over through this program. You can read through the details at the website provided. All right, so once you've decided to pursue the program and apply and ultimately get started, upon completion, one of the questions we often get is what kind of job opportunities are available to our graduates? So Professor Shabi, I'll send this question back over to you for some further details.
Sure. So I guess the slide shows the obvious answer, right? So the obvious answer is that once you get a master's degree in computer science, you get hired by computer science companies. And most computer science companies are in Silicon Valley. So if you look at the various articles in the past several years that did some stats on the which universities alumni make it more to the Silicon Valley, USC was ranked always high. So in one article, it was ranked 4th after Berkeley, Stanford, and CMU. I mean, Berkeley and Stanford, they're just in the backyard at Silicon Valley, so there's no surprise. And CMU has a whole school of computing, so it's much larger. So that's also not a surprise. So we are in good company. And then if you look at the right, the article there, they ranked us 5th after actually same, I guess, Stanford, Berkeley, University of Washington, that's also a big computer science program. So that's the obvious one. The less obvious answer is also, as I mentioned, computer science is now making an impact in every other field. So we can be hired by in medical and health business in hospitals, for example. They all have need for IT and data statisticians and so on, what we call data scientists. You can get hired in oil companies. A lot of big oil companies actually look for computer science folks. So I would say these days, I guess that's not a tough question to answer. As a computer science graduate, you have a lot of possibility for jobs. Oh, this is kind of a little bit of bragging, I guess, about USC, because what we teach is actually, it's not just theory, we have hands-on experience. And as a proof of that, this is basically emphasizing on our kind of the coding Olympics, which is basically is the ACM, Association for Computing Machinery computation or coding competition, I guess. That happens very much at the local level first, and then you get advanced like any other sport. You get advanced to the national and then international. So USC always make it to international. So this slide shows the local ranking. Last year there was no, because of pandemic, there was no competition. This is the year before last year. And as you see, USC was ranked 1st in the region. And USC actually had 3 teams. So the first one was ranked 1st in the region, and the second one was ranked 6th in the region, as you see, the USC Cardinal. And you might say, well, okay, this is the region. It's not that big of a deal, but I want to make you aware that our region is actually very tough. It includes Caltech, UCLA, Harvey Mudd, UC Irvine, UC San Diego, and so on. So it's actually a tough region. So making first is actually not easy. And then I don't know if you have my second slide where it shows the, no, you don't. Okay, so there was another slide that basically shows our ranking internationally. So we made it to the international, and I think we were ranked 6th or 7th internationally in that competition 2 years ago. This is a new program that we started in July 2018, industry affiliate program. This is related to the job opportunity there, because this program actually brings together our faculty and students with the industry. So we have, I think the next slide shows the members. So these are the members of the affiliate program, and the usual suspect: Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and so on. And I think next slide shows some of the events. So they basically pay us money to be a member of this program. So the department benefits from the membership, but what they get back is next slide. What they get back basically is all these events where the industry affiliates come and visit our faculty and our students in various settings. This is the opening of the program. But the next slide, I think, shows another event, which was the event where they have booths. So as you see, each of our industry affiliate members, they have a booth, and then the students go, and those papers, they have their resumes. So they go and interact with these partners. This is only for our computer science department, so that they get both summer internship opportunities as well as employment opportunities afterwards. This is one of the events. We have other events. I think there might be more pictures showing. This was the same event with the booths. Oh, you don't have the others, but basically there are other events where the industry affiliate representatives come and give talks, and these are more research events where they want to make the PhD students, for example, or the master's students who are interested in research aware of what's going on research-wise, and start kind of collaboration between the faculty and industry and the students.
Thank you so much. Professor Chhabi, this was great. I think that shared a lot about the career opportunities for our computer science students, and the different events and many events offered both within the Department of Computer Science, but also, of course, there are events that are being offered by Viterbi Career Services and USC Career Services. So lots of different ways to connect with employers as a student. So really quickly, we've talked about the programs, we've kind of introduced them and the departments. And so, if you've decided to pursue the Master of Science in Computer Science or one of the specializations, how can you get started? So we've listed the fall 2021 and spring 2022 application deadlines here. The reason I included the fall 2021 application deadline is because those interested in pursuing the program fully online via Dennett Viterbi still have the option to apply based on a case-by-case basis and application extension. So you can email us for more information regarding that. So again, if you're interested in pursuing the program via Dennett Viterbi, that means as an online student for the entirety of the program, there may be an opportunity for you to still apply for fall 2021. Otherwise, the next available upcoming deadline will be spring 2022. Scholarship consideration for on-campus students is August 31st. The final deadline will be September 15th for the spring 2022 semester. You're going to want to review the application criteria for your specific program of interest. I've provided a link here where you can visit all of the degree programs that are available within computer science, go to their program page, and explore the application information tab. That will be the tab, the second tab down after the program overview, that will provide an introduction and overview of all application materials required. That includes the background requirements for the specific degree program that you are interested in terms of academic backgrounds required, the requirements for undergraduate transcripts and the USC graduate application, as well as any existing testing requirements, including the GRE and TOEFL or your English language exam if required. So next steps, and then we'll get over to those questions. For those of you interested in taking classes on USC's campus, we encourage you to view our virtual tour so you can check out the campus and all of the resources that are available to you. And again, you can begin your application for formal admission for the spring 2022 semester. For those interested in applying for the to the MS in Computer Science and intending to pursue their program online via Dennett Viterbi, you can also start your application. And again, you can email us for information on a fall 2021 application deadline extension, or you can consider starting as early as this summer as a limited status student by completing the Dennett Viterbi profile to confirm your eligibility. All right, so now is the time that we are able to ask Professor Chhabi and Liesl some of the great questions that came in. One of the first questions I see here is whether the programs, the master's programs, are whether a thesis is required.
So no, it's not required. We have two tracks actually. So one track is course only, and then there's another track that you can take two units thesis course. That said, I see majority of our students, like 95% of our master students, usually don't go to the thesis track, because our master program is really a professional program where the idea is that you graduate and go and work. There is no direct access to the PhD program. So the thesis program is really just to prepare you in case you're interested in continuing to PhD.
Can you talk a little bit about how the general CS program differs from the concentration in AI? And, can you take, if you were to pursue the general CS program, can you take AI electives? Is that an option?
Yes, so so actually, if you go and look at the on our website, basically you'll see the specific courses. So what's really happening, the main difference is actually the general CS is 28 units. AI, as well as all the other specializations, they are 32. So basically you have one extra course that you need to take. That's the difference, the 4-unit. And that's one main difference. And the other main difference is that, as you see, the general program only has one required course, which is the algorithm course, and then everything else is elective. So basically you have your flexibility to go and pick and choose. However, for example, if you look at the AI program, there are more required courses. So in addition to algorithm, there's a AI course is required, the machine learning course is required. And then even for electives, you're not kind of completely free to go and take any elective you like. It's actually, there are like groups, and then within each group, you should take, for example, one elective from each group. Like one group is computer vision, for example, one group is machine learning. So the idea of these specializations is give you more structure to the courses that you're taking, so that you become expert in that area, in that field, and has this one extra course that you need to take.
Great, thank you. The next question here that I'm coming across, thank you everyone, by the way, for sending over these great questions. Sorry, I'm just making sure we've gotten a couple questions, so I'll just kind of group them together regarding non-CS students looking to pursue the CS for scientist and engineer. So we've had students here that say they have a background in biology or mathematics. Can you confirm the type of background you're looking for that CS for scientist and engineer?
Yeah, I would say clearly, I mean, both background in engineering and math, I think is the right background. I definitely think that you need to have the math background that comes either from math or physics or engineering. I would be, I don't know, Liesl can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would be a little more concerned if you have no math background or you're coming from fields that I don't want to kind of specifically give an example, but the fields that basically don't have the math or engineering background might be tougher, our courses. Liesl, anything?
Yeah, that's correct. Usually they're looking for people either with non-traditional CS backgrounds like an EE or any of the hard sciences that do have the advanced math.
Thank you. One of the questions here is, do any of the CS programs include computer forensics material?
No, not in our, I mean, we have ITP that has the forensic program. That's, I guess it's a certificate program, but not as a master, no.
So I think a couple of the questions here I'll kind of group into one is just how flexible it is to take electives in areas that may be outside of a specialization. So let's say you are admitted and pursuing the CS in specializing in data science, but want to take some classes in AI. Is there that ability to take classes outside of that specific specialization for the students?
Well, the ability is there. The problem usually is that, as you see, this is a large master program. So our classes basically potentially can get full because we have a capacity. Some of our classes, like for example, our AI classes, every other semester we run it as one mega class, which is very large and a lot of students can take it. But And I saw this question to which I don't know the answer 100%, so maybe Lisa can help. But if somebody's in a specialization, the required courses for that specialization, they get priority, right?
Yes, so if it's a required course within your specialization, it might be not the semester that you want it, but you'll eventually get it at certain time because it's required. But a lot of our students are in the regular MS program because there's so much flexibility. So some students might not like some of the required courses in the specializations, but would like to, take some of them, right? So that's why I have a lot of our students go into that because it is all electives. When you apply for jobs, you still can list the courses that you've taken. It doesn't necessarily have to be within the specialization. So this is why majority of our students that, they do like the flexibility that they only have to take algorithms and then they kind of take what they really want to focus on and they have, the flexibility to do it.
So I think that's pretty much everything here. There are a few specific questions that I saw come through that I will go ahead and respond to directly regarding funding opportunities and things along those lines. The one thing I do want to just make really clear in terms of the MS and computer science programs is the academic background requirements. So in terms of the computer science, general, or any of the specializations other than scientists and engineers, it is expected that you do have an undergraduate degree in computer science. If your undergraduate degree is outside of computer science, then the MS in computer science for scientists and engineers, as has been discussed, in terms of having an engineering or hard science background with mathematics, advanced mathematics courses is an option for you to look into. Now, if you're coming from an area outside of those areas, I definitely encourage you to explore the applied data science program and some of the other programs that still require a background in math and other areas, but might cross over more with your areas of interest. So there are definitely options out there for those of you that might be interested in applying with a non-traditional background. So with that, thank you so much, Professor Shahabi and Liesl, for taking the time out today to answer these questions and present on the master's programs in computer science. And to all of those that attended the session today, thank you for taking your time to learn a little bit more about the programs. Professor Shahabi, Liesl, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we end this?
No, thank you very much for having me again.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.